Philadelphia Sheriff's Office has recently come under scrutiny. The current sheriff, Rochelle Bilal, was first elected in 2019 and was re-elected in 2023. She is the first woman elected sheriff in Philadelphia. Bilal is also a 27-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department. Sheriff Rochelle Bilal joins us now. Sheriff, thank you so much for your time. It's good to see you. I'm glad we are having this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
So there have been calls recently to get rid of your office. And so I want to ask you about that and give you an opportunity to give your response to that, and then talk a little bit about how we got here and where we go now. So let me first start with those calls to abolish the sheriff's office. Tell me why they're wrong. Why should the office remain?
First of all, the office is a separate entity and is independent. And it has to exist between, we're like the fiduciary between the city and the homeowners when you're talking about real estate. But let me say this, from the officers that work there, it seems like they've been talking about abolishing the office for the past 30 years. Always, because the sheriffs are always the people that need to go. But they don't realize that if they do, what comes into play. The sheriff is the fiduciary. It's a separate entity. It's the arms of the court. It basically deals with the 38,000 people that come through these courthouses each month. And so what would you put there? How would that happen? And they're very well trained individuals. You rarely hear anything going on in reference to a deputy sheriff doing something.
Now, the explanation has been that the functions could remain and be absorbed by other parts of the city.
And I think Senator Sheriff said it best at my press conference yesterday.
Senator Sheriff Street.
Senator Sheriff Street said it best because basically his father wrote the legislation for Pocket to be there. And that fact that the sheriff's office is an entity that has to remain, and every county has a sheriff. So this one in Philadelphia now can be absorbed by who? You can't absorb it by the city because the city can't be the complainant and the defendant at the same time. How does that operate? See, what they're going on is past administrations, whatever it is that they did. They haven't given this first elected female an opportunity to bring the office in compliance. That's what we're doing. When I went into office in 2020, basically there was no booklet, no handbook, no real transition as to actually what was the issue in the sheriff's office that everybody wants to abolish it.
Let's talk about some of the things leading up to now and some of the functions of the sheriff's office. I want to start with court security because that is a big one, a big responsibility for your office. And the court has raised concerns about the security and the staffing there to keep people safe and do things like transport prisoners. Is the security at the courts adequate?
Yes, right now.
How long has it been that way?
Well, let's say this. Everywhere across the country, manpower is low. There was a pandemic, and then it was a civil unrest. George Floyd happened. Tamir Rice happened. Eric Gardner happened. Sandra Bland happened. All of these happened whereas people did not want to become deputy sheriffs or police officers by that. So recruitment has been down around the country. Did they not just hear the police commissioner say he's 1,200 down? It's going to take some time. So why is it that everybody got a pass except us? And so I think the courts wanted to know what we were doing to make sure that everybody was safe coming in and out. And I don't blame them. They wanted to know. Did they need to do a court order? I didn't think so. But we started before we got that court order because we saw our manpower going down, and we started putting in like a trial as to repositioning our deputy sheriffs. We had a couple of commanders over there that couldn't figure that out, and so I transferred them out, put those that in there can come up with the plan that we needed to redeploy our deputy sheriffs. And we did, and so we have a plan, and we gave it to them, and they seem to be satisfied with what we're doing.
Why did they have to do an order? If you knew that staffing wasn't where it should be, why not just go to them and say, hey, there's an issue, we need to address this?
And we were doing that. I think they just...
You went to them before the
No,
order and said there's a problem?
We've been having conversations with the courts in reference to staffing, and we've been doing it.
After the order or before?
Before. And when they did the order, we understand why they did it, because they really wanted to know what our plans were. And when we put the plans together and we gave it to them, they were satisfied with what we were doing. I think they're satisfied now.
And I know after that order in December, they did say that there had been a good faith effort, but there was another order then in March, and they asked you in 30 days to file a report with some plans in it. That time has now passed. Did you file that report?
Yes, we did.
And what did it say?
Basically, it's the same report that that we did from the beginning, that they asked us to give them. And we did. And we start redeploying our people at different places, and we pulled other ones in as we are trying to onboard our deputy sheriffs. So they came out with a second one, and we basically gave them the information of what it is that we're doing to make sure that everybody's safe.
So is the plan that you have in place right now, is it sustainable?
It is.
How so? Did you hire more people? Are there gaps somewhere else as a result?
There are no gaps anywhere else. We're just redeploying our people. We work with the prisons because we're picking up prisoners earlier. They're coming into court earlier. We're redeploying our people around in the courts earlier. And so at this point, everybody's...
Is it requiring more overtime?
It's going to have to require more overtime because we don't have the people. So when you're talking about making sure that people are there and in place for the judges, it has to require overtime because we don't have the people. And so overtime is happening right now. But we're on a hiring, and we're out across the city trying to get people to basically join to be a sheriff. And we're basically out in the community because our community engagement is one of the ways that you build the bridge between the community and law enforcement.
How many people do you need?
We need about a good 620.
You need 620 sheriff's deputies.
We need. That's like...
To do what?
To basically be in every courtroom in the courts.
And how many do you have right now?
We have about 200, or is it 300? 320 something right now.
So you need the amount that you have, and then that amount again.
Yes. If you want a deputy.
But you're saying what you're doing right now with that amount is sustainable.
It's sustainable as we're onboarding new deputy sheriffs. It's sustainable because we redeploying people from different areas at certain times. Because in the courts, there's certain times there are peak times, and there's certain times where it's downtime. And so
if you need 600,
them.
what are you not doing right now that you need those people for?
Overtime.
You would reduce the amount of overtime.
Most definitely. The more people you have, the less overtime you have to utilize.
You talked about some of the things that you've changed and brought to the office, and I know that you're now using an online platform for sheriff sales, tax sales, mortgage sales, real estate sales.
Yes.
For properties. And I want to ask you about how that is working, because I know that there had been reports about long delays, months-long delays for people to get deeds. What is the amount of time now that it takes after one of these sales to get the deed?
So first of all, the online platform has nothing to do with the deeds. That deals with the sales of the property. And so the online platform is working very well, especially when you're talking about getting excess proceeds to homeowners who go through that situation. And so the more people to bid, the more money that a person that may be going through that trauma can get back so they can move on. So the online platform has nothing to do with the deeds. What happened to the deeds is that we changed the whole technology system that helps upboard all our partners, gas, electric, water taxes, to be able to go on taking the money that needs to be captured under those sales. And because we put this whole new platform in, things had to go manually. So it wasn't technology-wise. They had to go manually while we figured out the bugs in the new platform. So once the new platform is up and going, which it is, then the deed process will be a lot smoother. You're
So
talking
how
about
long
people.
how long does it take now? If I were to buy a piece of property, how long will it take me to get that deed?
See, you can't give a specific on that because
You don't
no, it could
keep
because
that data?
well, we keep that data, but right now it's a whole lot of things that go into your deed getting processed. Because you got to have a certificate that you don't owe any taxes in the city. You got to get that from the city. You got to settle on your property. You got to make sure that everything in accord to how you buy a property on sheriff's sale is in place.
What's the goal? What's the goal, though?
The goal is to be in compliance within the
But in terms of
period
how long it takes?
6 weeks.
The goal is 6 weeks.
6
Are you
weeks.
meeting that?
We're meeting that now. We had
You're meeting that with all of the properties?
No, because we had a backlog. Don't forget, we onboard technology, and we went manually. And when people are used to doing digital stuff, that's their issue. And so once the program is up, which it is, came out, and we got rid of the bugs, everything should move a lot smoother.
There's more to my interview with Sheriff Bilal.